Pranakasha live stream.
Hi folks, this is Matt at Pranakasha Productions, and today we have the great fortune of talking with Patrick Stecher, who's a well-known figure down in Key West, Florida, and a close buddy of my friend James being the James that we gotta at Pranakasha Productions. When at the end of the video it says we got a James. Who the hell is James? Well, James is Patrick's friend. So there you go. So Patrick, you were saying that it's pronounced Stecher. So is that Scottish?
German.
Oh, German, really?
Yeah. One of those sort of coat of arms that they sell you at the mall that tells you the history of your family name. One of the translations of it was one who castrates cattle.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So it kind of means, it's kind of derived from to stick or to stab. And I think it's a word used to describe electrical outlets nowadays.
An electrical outlet is called a Stecher?
Wow. In German, apparently. So a German lady told me that, you know.
I should know this since my last name is Weiss. And on my dad's side of my family, everybody speaks German, but unfortunately in my high school, they didn't teach German, so I had to take French instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, dang it all. Oh.
Yeah, my grandfather, he came from Riverside, New Jersey, where the city council meetings used to be conducted in German.
Oh.
And there was a big clock making factory was the big business in town, you know, where everybody worked. And my dad's dad moved down to Atlantic City for health reasons, for the fresh salt air and stuff, and never went back.
Wow.
So I grew up in Atlantic City.
Okay. Yeah, so I grew up when I was younger in Michigan, and then the town that my dad grew up in was called Frankenmuth, Michigan, which was north of Ann Arbor. Everybody still speaks German there, as far as I know, and English too, of course.
Yeah.
Wow. So I know you as the guy. Well, for one thing, you're the guy who knows how to make these things, right?
Yeah, I could show you some other ones.
Yeah, let's see some of those.
Alrighty.
And apparently you can make these really fast, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of not the best example. Excuse the messy abode here. I try to do this so there's a little bit of contrast. That's a famous picture from Seattle. Do you recognize it?
Okay, hold on, wait. Go down a tad. That's amazing how good that is. That's wire.
It's all one piece of wire. That's Julian Assange getting taken down to the embassy. What else we got over here? We got Bob Dylan's Bringing It All Back Home album cover.
All right. And you do all these on one piece of wire?
Yeah. I don't know if you can recognize that. It's a famous experiment they did on monkeys. Where that was in all of our textbooks when I was a kid.
Oh, neat.
You know, there's some of my artwork that I've collected from friends over the years.
So it's like kind of a deal where you like trade, you give them some of your art and they give you some of theirs.
Yeah, that's a painting I did years ago.
All right.
This kid was really interesting. He would draw these kind of spontaneously, just kind of circling and darkening and lightening. And he said all these faces of his ex-girlfriends would emerge. And there's my friend Socrates guy, one of his works.
Wow.
That was from the 9/11 days. Oops. Oh, the chicken fell down.
Oh no, the chicken. Oops. Speaking of chickens, I hear that
chickens
are everywhere in Key West.
There are. Yeah. They're just outside my trailer. You might hear them as we go along. This is a guy, Sir Shadow. He would also do one-line drawings.
Oh, okay.
That's a painter, Ralph Totoro.
So that, well, hold on. So that one, you said that was a one-line drawing?
That is, yeah.
So what the deal is, you just start with one line and you're not allowed to take your pen off the page, type of a
Yeah,
thing?
which is kind of how I got to doing what I do. I used to do that in my notebooks at work, and it evolved into line or wire sculptures.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so that, and according to James, you just one day started doing one of these wire sculptures at like a Grateful Dead concert or something like that. Is that how it went?
I turned on the TV and I
Okay.
saw a documentary about Alexander Calder. And as the TV was fading on, I see one of his sculptures. And before I even knew what I was watching, I just said, that's such a good idea for a medium, and I can do that. And I could do it immediately upon trying it. But I had sculpted as a kid, like as a toddler, I sculpted, I was maybe like 4 years old or even younger. And my brother and sister, we always had sketch pads and modeling clay. It was like bread and milk. We were never without them. And so you develop, skills at that age. And it turned out Alexander Calder was making clay sculptures when he was 4 years old. So
Okay.
yeah, so we used to do that a lot, and it just sort of became my accidental career. I started carrying wire around and just making stuff for all my friends.
Okay.
And I accidentally started selling them in bars because people just came over and say, hey, can you make me this? Can you make me that? Give you $10 to make me this. Never. And I made like $50 one night in a bar. And I thought, well, I'm going to go do a 4 to 12 shift in a bar because I used to be a bartender. I went to a bar and I bought a drink and I started making sculptures. And in less than 4 hours, I had over $100. And I
This
was
is
just
in Key
ecstatic.
West, right?
Now, this was in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, and this is 22 years ago. Because I
Okay.
started in the year 2000 or 99. So I started cruising bars in Atlantic City, and my mode of operation was I would walk in and order a beer. I'd start sculpting, and I'd wait for people to ask me questions. I would specifically wait for them to ask, what are you doing? Can I buy that, and how much? I would never volunteer those things unless they said them first. And that way I got kicked down of bars less, and it just created the whole dynamic. It got to a point where I was doing so well that I quit my day job and I cruised bars, and I would often walk in with the last $5 I had in the world and buy a pint of beer with it and walk out with a couple $100 in just a few hours. So that's 22 years, knock wood, that I haven't needed a real job.
That's
So
amazing.
then I started driving up to New York City, where I got a lot of this artwork that I just showed you. And that's 2 hours from where I lived at the time. And I would drive up there and I would camp in my van on the streets in Soho, where all the artists from all around the world set up. And I worked just weekends for about 9 years and was able to kind of, do kind of okay. Yeah, and all the traveling artists, they raved about Key West. So I took their word for it, and I moved down here sight unseen, and I've been here for 12 years.
Okay. So are we inside that van right now?
No, we are inside the larger version of the van. I live in a trailer here in Key West. One of the last trailer parks downtown, just two and a half blocks from the beach.
Nice.
And downtown and all that. So it's like a really golden location, and it's a really golden find because rents are ridiculous now. It's super hard to find something, even if you do have money.
Right.
And I'm paying something I'm like one of those people with like rent control in New York, basically.
That's cool.
So
Yeah, because I heard
yeah,
like James's apartment is like a really small studio, and I don't know how much he's paying, but I thought it was like $2,000 a month or something like that. Some huge amount for just a studio. And he said it's like that all over Key West. Like just
yeah.
like you
Well,
said,
I'm
really,
paying $750 for the lot.
that's
So
great.
it's insane. Yeah.
And how did you fare through all the hurricanes?
Thankfully, knock wood, my little tin box was not destroyed. I escaped Key West for Irma, and I was terrified of being homeless when I got back. And miraculously, my trailer was spared. There was a trailer park in Newtown that was completely destroyed. They are on lower ground, so they were underwater. This is on higher ground.
Okay. How high are you up?
My landlords say it's never flooded here.
So are you like 50 feet or something, or?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Above sea level, I have no idea. But
Because I
when you
heard
walk,
parts of Key West is really like at sea level or even a little bit below.
it's pretty darn close, you know. You
Yeah.
can walk down and put your toes in the water.
Yeah.
The new town is a lot of that is lower ground. So when they do have bad storms, this is Old Town, and Old Town has some elevated areas.
Okay.
Apparently, I just lucked out and I just ended up in an area with higher elevation. So
Yeah. So your guardian angel guided you.
yeah. In fact, I had very religious parents, or have, and my dad just sort of like calls me up one day and he says, "Keep your eye out for a trailer," and that was kind of out of left field, and somebody came and offered me a trailer like 2 days later, and they helped get it. So it was just sort of, I don't know.
So did he
They
have some
pray.
vision or something about your trailer or
I think
something,
it's
or
like,
dream?
yeah, it's just something, the way they think religiously. It's, you know, they pray about things and things come to them. And anyway, it was a lifesaver because I've made it through so much because of that. You know, kind of something told them it was a good idea, and it has been. It's been really great. I've been in this location for I think 10 years.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and the landlords are fantastic, and like I say, it's really beautiful here. It's a really
Right.
great location.
And there's a plethora of chickens, and then iguanas, I believe, are like kind of rule
Yeah,
the
I was gonna
place.
say maybe we can go out. Maybe I can bring up some chickens here.
Yeah, well, that'd be
I'll
great.
bring
We can
this outside.
feed the chickens.
Yeah, it's illegal to feed the chickens, so
Uh-oh.
don't tell anybody I fed the chickens.
Okay,
See, I was gonna try and like do this interview from my spot.
that would be fun.
There's a chicken right now, but so here's some chickens. Can you see the chickens?
No, I don't see any chicken. Oh wait, yeah, I do. Off in the distance, I see a chicken.
Now come running.
Come on.
I'm working on building a new cart today because I bought a cart that's
last night, maybe I might have got maybe my guardian angel. Last night when I was going to sleep, I started talking to my wife, who was lying next to me, about chickens, Hawaiian chickens. And then I started babbling about what do Hawaiian chickens sound like? And then what I said was, brada, brada, brada. And she's like, will you please go to sleep? Brada.
yeah, I taught one of these chickens to jump through a hoop a few years ago.
Oh, cool.
And you can actually find, I'll try and find a video of it for you to send you so you can show people.
A hoop
Oh, wait,
jumping
someone's
kitchen.
trying to call me. Hey, hold on. Can I take this call while we're online?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Hey, Hubert.
And meanwhile, a word from our sponsor.
Well, this guy, he's an artist that I know from New York. And okay, but it's not connecting.
Good for the soul. There we go.
Well, I wasn't able to connect. Maybe because we're on this.
But, so next time you're at a fancy restaurant and they ask what you'd like to drink, just say, "Avez-vous de la croix, monsieur?"
Yeah.
Anyway.
So here's the chickens gathering. See, if you feed them like this, then come hurricane time, you can just whistle for dinner. But don't tell them that.
That's not very nice, luring chickens like that.
Yeah. So I'll give you like a little tour of the neighborhood here.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Show you the pretty palm trees and such. As you can see, the
beautiful Key West, Florida. What time is it there? Like 5 o'clock?
It's 5:19 right now.
Okay.
So you can see some beautiful palm trees. See, I'm building my cart. That's one of my sculptures over there. If you can see that yellow face.
So
And
what will this cart contain in it when it's done?
it's going to be shelves for my wire sculptures, and it's going
Oh,
to be lighter than the one that's too heavy to pull with my bike right now.
mm.
I have this really cool cactus outside my house, and it has these white flowers.
Oh yeah, okay.
And in the middle of the night, these white flowers are as big as your face. There's like a dead one right there, but they only bloom once in a while, and in the middle of the night. It's really kind of
Interesting.
cool, unique. Yeah.
Is there
You
like
see
some
down the street,
special
see all the
bug
pretty
that
palm
flies
trees.
into the flower and pollinates it or
I'm
something?
sure there is. There's some, I guess those are royal palms over there across the street.
Okay. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. But I was trying to do this cart. I've been trying to get it going for a little while now. And I've just been dragging today. There's the chickens kind of expecting things.
So I guess what you're saying is like your day job is the wire sculptures, and then
Yes.
your other gig, which is as a musician, is just kind of gravy and just fun type of stuff.
Yeah, and it's it's extra money, which helps, of course.
Yep.
In fact, for a little while, I was just doing it was almost exclusively music because I was in this band called Patrick and the Swayzes that really took off.
I remember that.
And
I've seen you guys' videos.
yeah, we had a full schedule, and we were playing 5-6 times a week on average, sometimes more. And we toured. We went to other countries and played. And I stopped doing the street for a while.
Oh wow.
And it was, even though the street's a lot of fun, it was a nice break, And then I started back. I played in a few bands since then with a lot of the same people.
Okay.
And I played New Year's with my old band, Patrick and the Swayzes, because their regular guy couldn't make it. So, we're all still friendly and stuff. They're still doing it. I just got tired of driving to Miami,
So Patrick and the Swayze still exists, but Patrick's not in the band anymore.
Right. I think they're calling themselves the Swayzes. They were using Patrick and the Swayzes for a long time.
You mean it's not the band formerly known as Patrick and the Swayzes?
No, it doesn't make much difference.
Yeah. Interesting.
These chickens are just waiting on the perimeter. Once you feed them, they want more,
Yeah, it's blowing me away how much you look like James. Like you even have the same kind of facial expressions as him.
You know how it's
Wild.
like when you start looking like your dog,
Yeah.
you're around someone, I guess you pick up their facial expressions.
Okay,
maybe
so
because we both have short hair. I don't know.
So is James your dog, or are you James's dog?
Oh, I don't even know.
or does it depend on the day?
To be determined. So you went to college together, huh?
Yeah, we were roommates. So okay, so me and
have
James
a lot of good James stories, huh?
Here we go. Oh, by the way, I wore this shirt especially for you because I thought you'd appreciate it. So it's my favorite Spock shirt. It says here, "Larga vida y prosperidad." Whoops.
Is that Spock as Che?
Yeah. And of course, "Larga vida y prosperidad."
I had a friend.
It means live long and prosper in Spanish.
I had some friends. They had a cool garage band called the Improbables, and they had a song called "Dress to the Left."
Yeah.
And the lyrics that I remember were like, if you're sipping cappuccino in a French cafe, you got to dress to the left. If you're hiding in the jungle with a guy named Che, you got to dress to the left. It was a classic.
Oh boy, but I will have to look that up on YouTube.
I don't know if they ever really published that one.
Oh, too bad, because otherwise I could have put it in the link in the description.
Yeah.
Well, instead I'll put a Patrick and the Swayze song down there. You'll have to tell me.
Yeah, I'll send you a few things after we're done. You can choose what to sort of.
Okay. Now I also need to compliment you on your rather impressive sideburns.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I won an award for that. I can show you on the wall up there where it's Society of Facial Hair Excellence or something like that. I won the sideburn thing.
Now, I recently acquired sideburns myself. I don't know if you can see. right there.
I see. Yeah.
Because basically for my Star Trek show, at first I decided I gotta have Star Trek sideburns, but then I was like, you know what? Let's just take it up a notch and make them even more 60s looking.
Uh-huh.
So, and as you know, I mean, if you want to keep a nice pair of sideburns, you got to like groom them every single day. Whenever you're in the morning, you're like, tz, tz,
You know what? I shave around them, but
right.
I've had them like absurdly long, like really like here, where they start to like curl up, and yeah, they start to look real interesting. I just got a haircut
Birds
where
will
just
get nests, make nests in them, and so on.
yeah.
Well, congratulations. And I mean, every picture I've seen of you, you've had those sideburns. So those
I've
go
had
way
them,
back,
I
right?
think, since I got to Key West. I did a lot of things to celebrate not working for the man. If you look at my old pictures in my Facebook page, you'll notice I'm wearing a dashiki in almost every photo. And I like dashikis from a very young age. I kind of associated with like the hippies and
Right.
not wearing a tie and freedom and stuff. So when I came to Key West and I was doing something I loved and not working for the man, my way of celebrating was I took a vow to myself to only wear dashikis. So I bought a bunch of dashikis, and every day, and this lasted for 5 years, I wore a dashiki. And I don't think there's many people outside of the Swahili speaking parts of Africa that can say that. But I literally I had such a collection of dashikis that people just started to notice, and it became kind of like a little running joke. And I was at the laundromat, and I had maybe about 4 dryers full of dashikis tumbling around various colors. And my friends stopped to talk to me, and as they're talking, they look up and they see all these dashikis tumbling, and they just bust out
Wow,
laughing.
man, that's wild. This is better than a kaleidoscope.
So when I joined Patrick and the Swayzes,
Yeah.
I was wearing dashikis still, and the guys wanted to dress like 1950s kind of gear, and I was like, I'm taking a vow to myself to only wear dashikis. And this persisted for a while until one of my bandmates just threw like this outrageous temper tantrum over like because we were going to film a video.
Right.
So, I put on a suit for the first time.
Wasn't it a green suit?
Yes.
I remember that picture.
Yeah,
there was a pretty fine looking suit, I'll have to say.
I used to wear that when I did bar mitzvahs with my wire sculpture. I used to do my wire sculpture at bar mitzvahs and corporate events back in New York and North Jersey. So that was like my party gear, if you will. But we had like a video for Run Around Sue, and I'm wearing a dashiki, so we actually have.
Well, I have a classic James picture of Darth Vader on the street. By the way, I don't know. I just assume everybody knows this, but James is the man behind the mask of Banjo Darth Vader, who's since retired, unfortunately.
I think
I loudly protested for months and months that James should at least go play Banjo Darth Vader once a week or something, but he refuses. So
he sold the suit to somebody under the condition, don't sell it back to me. Because it was actually bringing out his dark side, if you will.
I've heard all this. Me and James text each other every day.
Yeah.
And of course now
he was swinging that banjo at people.
Yeah.
Regular.
Well, yeah. But there's a picture of Banjo Darth Vader, and then it's you, and I think you're playing like a mandolin or something like that in that picture.
Ukulele.
And Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
That picture. Maybe I'll put that picture up above here.
Yeah, that's a good picture. That's Grady, our resident Spider-Man. He was a character in and of himself. He hasn't been back since the pandemic. He was a real interesting character. You'd like him. He'd be a trip to interview as well. But he hasn't been around for a while.
Well, from what I gather, Key West is just like party town 24 hours a day. And then occasionally the whole bunch of people, naked people, walk around once a year, you know,
Fantasy
and
Fest is like sexy Halloween week. Like we have that instead of Halloween, and
right.
it's more comical naked than sexy naked. There's some sexy naked, but it's more comical naked more than anything else.
Yeah.
And Key West attracts a lot of eccentrics, a lot of weirdos, a lot of misfits. We call it the island of misfit toys. We have sayings like "we're all here because we're not all there." But when I came down here, like most of my friends that I made were they were artists and performers and just adventurers, So it was like I was really fascinated with the people that I met. And granted, there's Duval Street and Maui Square for performers and artists to make their living, so that's a big magnet. But I
Right.
noticed, this place attracts interesting people for all different kinds of reasons. There's some people that come here to die because it's the end of the road. I met some of those.
Okay.
Um, one of the old timers explained it to me. He says, before they built the new 7 Mile Bridge, it was so narrow that if you were to get on it, you were almost guaranteed to lose a side view mirror from a passing truck. And it took a certain kind of person to get on that road because it's 7 miles, and either you came over that 7 Mile Bridge or you came here by fishing boat, probably. And
Okay.
that kind of informed the demographic to this day.
So I think James in his blog, okay, the other thing about James, besides being Banjo Darth Vader, is that he is also James Across America, who walked from Tacoma all the way to Key West, Florida, and then blogged all about it with the great blog.
Yeah.
And I'll put a link in the description for that. And I remember in his blog, right at the end, he was talking about walking on this super narrow road across this bridge to Key West and how scared he was when the cars were
Yeah.
whizzing by like 2 inches from his face.
Mm-hmm.
So was that when he did that, was that the new bridge or the old bridge?
That was the new bridge. And I guess
Oh,
it's
okay.
scary enough. I've rode across the 7 Mile Bridge on the back of a motorcycle. It's the first time in my life I ever rode on the back of a motorcycle. I'll send you a picture that I took,
Okay.
which is actually on the Bahia Honda Bridge, which is a little closer to Key West. But my friend Angela, she's this beautiful girl that would ride a motorcycle, and I'm hanging out with her one day, and she gets a call from her mechanic, and she says, "All right, I'll have Pat follow me up in the Jeep, and I'll drop off the Jeep there." And I'm gathering from this conversation that I'm going to be riding on the back of a motorcycle. And she's this beautiful girl, so you don't want to say no to her. What?
But
So I
have you,
took this picture of
was
her
this the
riding
first
her
time you've
motorcycle.
ever been on? Because I've ridden on the
Yes.
back of a motorcycle and I find it totally terrifying.
Yes, this was the first time I ever rode on the back of a motorcycle. And she was doing tricks on the way up.
Oh
She
no.
got up on her motorcycle and she rode it like a surfboard. And it's like a big, heavy black motorcycle. I'll send you a picture after we get off, and you can use it. And she's doing stunts where she was laying down and spreading out her arms, and she lost her sunglasses. And I'm thinking she's going to wipe out. All of her motorcycle friends were like giving her a lot of shit about taking those kinds of risks.
Okay.
So we dropped the Jeep off up a Marathon, which is 60 miles away from Key West. And I go to get on the motorcycle for the first time, and she starts to sort of, vroom out of the parking lot. And she stops and says, "Whoa, dude, if you lean, we're going down. Damn, you're heavy." And boom, that quick, we're out in traffic. And I'm like, "Don't lean, don't lean, don't." I'm 6'3". This girl's like, maybe like 5'8", 5'9", something like that. So it was like I'm a lot heavier than her, and I'm ducking with her and getting up, and and it started raining, and it was like getting hit in the face with needles and stuff like that. And we actually had to stop because of the rain and get a ride, which is merciful as it was.
Oh
But
my God, what a nightmare.
yeah,
That
but I was
sounds
just like,
horrible.
this is if I'm gonna die like this is kind of pretty cool.
All I remember is the first time I ever rode on the back of a motorcycle, I was like 16 and I was in Frankenmuth, Michigan. And my cousin, I think it was my cousin Russell, who unfortunately died of cancer this year,
I'm sorry.
put me on the back of the motorcycle and off we went. And I was scared as shit. I was like, whoa. And he didn't even do anything crazy. So like, I mean, so from what you described, that must have been just completely out of this world.
It was terrifying. Yeah, it was terrifying. And yeah, she's an adventurous fun. You got to see this picture. It's so funny. Or like tooling away on this bike. But yeah. So Key West is it's full of interesting characters, you know, even besides the artist and the performers, it's just attracts eccentrics.
And then who's your
Strange
main
place.
guy? Who's the guy? Who's the famous guy that's down there? What's his name? You know who I'm talking about.
Are you talking about Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah,
Is he still
he's
there?
not down here so much anymore. Apparently he sold his house and he stays down at Key West to stay out of trouble. He visits once in a while.
Okay.
And I've heard like good stories and bad stories about him. I heard people talking about how he was a jerk or something, you know, some little interaction. And I've heard things of where like, you know, a guy I knew was driving a cab. He ends up taking him to the Super Bowl, shit like that. Like my friend was a cab driver and he's riding Jimmy Buffett around and Jimmy Buffett just has him like waiting for him because they're going to do this and going to do that. And he had some other famous friends with him. I forget who, but they just get a wild hair up their ass and they're like, hey, let's go do the Super Bowl. And Jimmy Buffett turns to my friends like, hey, Cabby, you want to go see the Super Bowl? And I don't know what state it was in, but they got on a plane and went and saw the Super Bowl.
Well, maybe it was like in Miami or something. Did they
I
ever have
think
the
it
Super
was in the
Bowl in
Midwest,
Miami?
but to be honest, I think
Huh.
it sounded like a Green Bay Packers game or some shit. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. So, so James now that he's no longer Banjo Darth Vader, but his memory lives on. Like even I still post every single week. Is today's Thursday or Friday?
Today's
Today's Thursday, right?
it's Thursday, right? We were
Okay,
going to
so
do it on
tomorrow I
Wednesday,
have to post the James Day message on Pranakasha Percussion, and it always has a picture of Banjo Darth Vader. So the memory lives on years after.
I tried to talk James because James, you know, obviously he's born to be a stand-up comedian. He's so witty and
He
sharp, you
is, the
know, and
guy is so intelligent, and he
yeah.
knows
So
he's so smart.
and they have little comedy clubs around here. I've tried to kind of talk him into it, but James would kind of just start riffing when he was in the Darth Vader suit,
Right.
and something about the blank Darth Vader face made everything he was saying 10 times funnier.
Okay. I can
And
get that.
so I was like, dude, you should do stand up in this Darth Vader suit. And he had some sort of name. He named his Darth Vader character, like, I forget what it is. It might occur to me as we're talking, but he said he didn't want to do it because he likes to read people and react and he couldn't see under the damn thing. And I was like, well, get better, you know, Darth Vader eyes or whatever. And he was like, no, I'm not Carrot Top. I don't need props. You know, I could do that. Like I could do stand up just, you know.
Right.
But I was like, he would start doing stuff that was so goddamn funny. And because he was the Darth Vader, it just gave you that straight man kind of effect.
Right.
And he comes over and I'm set up selling my wire sculptures right next to him.
Right.
So he's got like, he would just go on and that would be really hilarious. He would do these Ned Beatty jokes because he was playing banjo.
Okay.
So he's like, you know, whose job was it to get Ned Beatty from the trailer that day? Or I think that's a Gilbert Gottfried joke, whatever. But he would say things like he would start doing this like poetry. And it'd be like the flutter of a butterfly's wing, the crisp pop of a new coffee can, Ned Beatty's mouth.
You even sound like James. That's what James sounds
I'm
like.
I'm probably like doing a James imitation. When I did this, when he was doing this, like there's people walking by and you just see their sideways look is like, was that Darth Vader waxing poetically about Ned Beatty's mouth? There was a lot to take in. He was so funny when he was, you know, and you know, he's just his usual James, but he just has this, it was the comedy potential there was just huge. But
Well,
like I said,
you know,
I couldn't.
James like worships comedy. Like he's studied it like apparently his whole life. Like I remember when we
Yeah.
were roommates at Evergreen State College, and by the way, Evergreen State College, if you don't know what that is, folks, it's like the most liberal college in the whole planet. It's like all the hippies go there, and that me and James were there, and we were roommates. So that's where we crossed paths. Anyway, so I mean, is there another college that's even more hippie than Evergreen State? Maybe Reed College, or I don't know.
Not that I know of. He was
At least it was
explaining it
back
to me one
then.
day.
Yeah. Like for one thing, we didn't get grades. You know,
Yeah, he told
we
me
just
that.
got review. We just got just written reviews of how we did, and blah blah blah.
Interesting.
Anyway, so now, darn it, I just completely lost my train of thought. So why am I talking about Evergreen?
James, Darth Vader, stand-up comedy,
Oh yeah.
Ned Beatty's
So
Mouth.
so even at Evergreen, way back when, and this was, we were like freshmen, and it was like 1987, good year, right around the time when Cold Fusion came out. I think it came out the year after me and James were roommates. You know, that era. TNG was a new show, which I hated. I refused to watch TNG because I didn't like the bald-headed captain, and I didn't like the warp core
TNG.
because it looked dumb. But
What's TNG?
anyways, Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, okay. I waited on Riker and Troy once in San Antonio.
Oh,
And they both came in and sat down. It was a lobby bar in the Hyatt. And me and the bartender are like, we recognize this guy, but we can't place the face. And so I'm putting drinks down for them. I'm like, I'm sorry, we recognize you, but we can't place the, we don't know where we saw you. And he's like, Star Trek, Next Generation. And I only realized it was Troy.
That's
after
pretty
they
good.
left. She was kind of like incognito with sunglasses, and she wasn't done up in her normal splendor.
Spandex.
Yeah.
Was she speaking in Cockney? Probably, right? Isn't that her? I know she's from the UK, so she's got a
I did not hear
pretty
her
strong
speak,
accent.
Yeah, I didn't hear her speak. I didn't catch her
Because
accent.
her quote real voice is way different than her voice on the show.
Really?
Yeah, she has to put on a different type of accent for the show.
I'm always impressed with people that can pull that off, because I think, like, an American might think that they got a British accent down or an Irish accent down, but if you go over there, they can tell the difference in accents within a radius of 10 miles. And I feel like they'd be on to us. The guy that was in The Wire, McNulty or whatever, I heard him speaking a British accent, and I just about fell out, because he really pulled off that Baltimore accent. You would have never thought in a million years that he was a Brit.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
impressive.
nowadays, and I don't know, maybe it's been like this forever, but like actors have acting coaches who teach them acting. They also have a dialect coach who will help them with their dialect. Like I know a guy, actually, I have a dialect coach now. His name is Jim Johnson. I may have to put the link in the description. Who's like, the guy has it all down to a science. He can do like any accent under the sun, and he's got it all figured out linguistically, like what resonates in what part of your head or your chest, and where your tongue goes,
really?
and all this stuff. He's got it all figured out as to everything that creates a certain type of accent and why it is that way, and he knows all about like all the different areas of the UK and all the different areas of New York City that have all the different flavors of a New York accent and all this stuff.
One of the things that I want to get around to doing is like working on singing. I wanted to, because like we are goofing around one of our gigs, and I sang a few Doors songs.
Okay.
And according to my friends, I like sound exactly like Jim Morrison when I want to. Okay. And I kind of have a hunch that I could pull off a number of other, notable musicians if I studied their voice. And, I heard about one guy like studying John Lennon's voice for a movie he was doing using a guitar tuner, see where his voice went, and but no, I think like it's something I'm interested in doing down the road, just trying to imitate.
Well, you did like voice. you just pulled off a pretty good Riker right off the bat when you were talking about Jonathan Frakes. That was good. And then you obviously got a good James there.
Yeah, I didn't.
So let's hear a Doors song right off the cuff.
Maybe I'll try to send you a video.
Okay. So you couldn't
My
do, don't
friend.
you love her madly? Don't you need
Yeah,
her badly?
I
Don't you
might have
love
to
her
redraw.
that she's walking out the door? I can do a cowboy doors.
Yeah,
Break on through to the other
they're half
side.
cowboy as it is.
Break on through. Yeah. Break on through the other side. All right. It's about as close as I can get. So, so do you still, now you had a stand-up bass, right? When you were in the
I
Swayzes?
had one that was given to me, but it was a little bit complicated. The person that gave it to me, the person that gave it to him wanted it back, so I don't have one right now. I'm going to try to get one soon, and I have some work to do to be able to play it. But it is kind of on the ambition list to get a stand-up bass. I carry a ukulele with me almost everywhere I go,
Oh,
just in case of emergencies.
okay.
That was one of the things that started when I got here. One of my friends started bringing a ukulele around, and we all started carrying them like they were weapons. And it's great to have an instrument just to sort of sing a few chords, like at any given time.
Right. Speaking of ukuleles, have you heard of the guy from Hawaii named Jake, who's like the best ukulele player on the planet, it seems?
Are you talking about the Japanese guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff.
I don't want to try to mispronounce his last name.
He plays like a heavy metal ukulele almost.
Well,
Yeah.
I never thought of it as heavy metal, but I mean,
But he's a lot of fast, digga
well,
digga diggas. You get this digga digga diggas and like a heavy
he
metal
does the
player would.
most insanely cool arrangements.
Yeah.
Like on a ukulele where you're like, holy crap, I didn't know you could do that on that. Like, I mean, stuff that like, classical guitar players that are really good would do on a classical guitar, or he does on ukulele.
Well,
So,
it's almost like a piece of a guitar.
yeah, it's sort of like a miniature guitar with the top four strings or something.
Yeah, you're
Oh, are we
missing
gonna
two
play?
strings, and it's like has a capo on it. Yeah, we'll see what we can do here.
All right. I might have to break out my cello.
There we go.
Of course, trying to sync across Zoom is always a nightmare.
Ukulele.
That was
I
a
have
bit of improv, right?
That's a tune that I composed along. There's a lot of old ukuleles I have hanging up there.
Oh, okay.
A
I have
bunch
a
of like
guitar back
concert
there.
and stuff like that. Yeah, I can
Yep.
see the guitar. Is that an
It's a pretty
Epiphone?
nice, it's an Epiphone. It's a Sheraton too.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite guitar. Not that I can play it. I completely suck at guitar compared to cello. So
Oh,
so now it's
impressive you
more
can
like
play
a
the cello. I
prop
want
than
to take up
anything
the
else.
cello actually.
Yeah.
It's on my list of things to do. I want to because I'm thinking, oh, when I get a bass, I want to play it with a bow for like do Beatles kind of stuff.
Well, I take cello lessons via Zoom once a week. My teacher lives in Toronto and I live in Seattle. So I could give you a Zoom lesson.
Wow.
Same
You're
thing.
still taking lessons after all these years. That's interesting. I guess
Well,
you
yeah,
never.
well, actually, see, I grew up a violin player,
Uh-huh.
and then 10 years ago or something like that, I forget now. I started writing a cello concerto. Don't ask me how I decided to start writing it, but one day I decided to write one. And then after I had half written the first movement, I thought, maybe I should learn how to play cello better, or first learn how to play cello so that I can write a better concerto. And then I got a cello and I got halfway good at it, but then I just completely plateaued and I didn't get any better for years and years and years. Then a couple
Yeah.
years ago, I bought a really nice cello and I was so inspired by it. It was such a beautiful instrument. It sounded so good that I started practicing it a lot. Now it's getting a lot better because I was practicing. And then one day
Mhm.
I thought, maybe I should take lessons. And then after I started taking lessons, I started getting way better. And now finally, so many years later, I'm actually good enough that I'm going to be able to perform that cello concerto that I wrote so
Nice.
many years ago. And I'm going to perform it this summer.
Very cool.
In fact, I actually just wrote a new second movement to it last week because my teacher declared that the previous second movement was way too hard, considering that the first movement is like a total barn burner. So I
Hmm.
said, okay, I'll write a different one. So
Huh.
crazy.
Yeah, James tells me you have your own orchestra.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm the founder of it, of the Octava Chamber Orchestra, and I'm the concertmaster and the president still after all these years. So
Nice.
in that sense, it's my orchestra, but I mean, an orchestra is a bunch of people, so you can't really say it's your
Yeah.
orchestra. But that orchestra will be the orchestra that will be backing me up this summer when we
Very
play the
cool.
piece. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So, but you're also a composer apparently. If you've written some songs
Yeah,
and
I've written
like
a bunch
that.
of songs.
Oh, cool.
I've written a lot of instrumentals on ukulele, and I have a few little ditties with words. Yeah, I've
That's
written a
neat.
handful. Yeah,
Cool.
I could play some for you if you like.
Yeah, I'd love to hear some of your like original stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let me see if I have. This is close enough to in tune, right?
Close enough, presume.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's called "A Young Carl Sagan Ponders the Night Sky."
Ooh. Nice. Wow. So I'm guessing that you saw Cosmos when it originally came out, the TV
I
show.
read the book, and when I was younger, I used to be very religious. So like I wasn't really into Carl Sagan because he was always knocking religion. I was like a little Jesus freak when I was a teenager.
Hmm.
But when I read his book, I was so impressed with him. Like his general sort of concern and compassion for the human race and all that. And he really impressed me. Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Billions and billions of
Billions and billions, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. See, there's another impression. So you're like, you can do impressions really well.
I just don't even know it.
So
I
you
have a
just pull
friend of
them out.
mine.
Is it a study? Do you try to study that voice, or do you just pull it out just without even trying?
No. It's really funny. Like a friend of mine, he got in an argument with an employer / friend or whatever, and he's just telling the story of what went wrong between them or whatever. And every time he's, would say, well, he said this, he would do the guy's voice and mannerisms, and it wasn't even he was thinking about it. It was just really, really funny. But yeah, no, I think it's an involuntary thing, to do that sort of thing.
Wow. Well, we need a theme song to wrap us up. So we do listful and like that, or should we do like an upbeat, like heavy metal type of ukulele song?
I could play you another original with
Okay,
words.
sure. Oh, it's got words?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear that.
This one's called Someday All the Thoughts Will Have Been Thunk.
Someday all the thoughts will have been thunk.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a short little ditty. Someday the brains will have had all the thoughts if they can stay around long enough thinking lots. No doubt about it, all the shadow to see, just the truth right there and glistening. And someday those commentators on TV, they're gonna finish all their arguing, they'll all agree. They'll sit there quiet, with smiles on their face, in the knowledge that they saved the human race. And someday when little babies ask us why, we're gonna have a big answer book sitting close by. We'll pick up the book and we'll start to read, and we'll tell those little babies all they need. Love yourself, love one another, love this holy earth as she is your mother, and slow it down sometimes. And don't be a dick. Someday the brains will have had all the thoughts if they can stay around long enough thinking lots. No doubt about it, all the shadow to see, just the truth right there and listening. And someday when Jesus does come back, he's going to find himself a human race that's right on track. He'll give a big smile, say he's real proud, then he'll climb up back on this little fluffy cloud and float away. They'll float back to heaven and say, now you finally know just what you've been given, and my work here is done, and yours has just begun.
Nice. Very nice. I wonder, is it possible for you to send me the lyrics of that? I could put them in the description.
Yeah, I could type that out for you.
Because of Zoom, all the words didn't come through, but I'd like to be able to get every little last syllable of the poetry, because it sounded, what I did hear was very cool.
Yeah, I'll send you the lyrics. I'll send you a bunch of pictures.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any final message to spread out to humanity, sage advice or wisdom or anything like
live long
that?
And prosper, I guess.
Okay, I always say that. Live long and prosper.
Yeah, man.
Larga vida y prosperidad, mis amigos. Larga vida y prosperidad.
Pranakasha production. Fantastic creations emerging spontaneously from the space of life.
For the benefit of all beings everywhere.
We gotta